Hello and welcome back to Stop and Go F1 for this, our Japanese Grand Preview. I always forget to call it the Grand Preview, but that's what the video is. It's a little pun there, you see, because it's Grand Prix, like the racing, yeah, but preview, so Grand Preview. There we are. So in this video, we're going to look over the news. We're going to look into Special Helmet Street and Special Livery Cul-de-sac. Upgrade Corner will be coming up as well. We'll have a recap of the two practice sessions from this morning, although realistically it was more like 1.25 practice sessions. And also my two predictions will be at the end of this video, which we've never got wrong. The two predictions has never ever gone wrong. So all of that to come in this here grand preview video. Let's start with the news. And there's only really three big news stories this week, with an additional fourth which isn't really a news story. So let's start with that, and that is that Sebastian Vettel has been everywhere this week. And I'm not sure why. Never have I seen a man go on such a media tour to sell absolutely nothing. Like, if he had a book coming out or something, I would understand why he's on every British TV show and radio station right now. But he's selling nothing and is everywhere. And there's all these rumours now that he's associated with Mercedes and he'll be driving for Mercedes next year. Personally, as we sit here right now, I don't see it. But I have been wrong before, not in my predictions, obviously they've always been right. But yeah, I don't see Vettel returning to F1 next year, or realistically ever at this point. But we shall see, I could be wrong. I think he'll be in Le Mans this year, but yeah, F1, a very different beast. Let's talk about the actual news from the week though, and the first big story was that Liberty Media, the owner of F1, will be taking a $4 billion deal with Dorna, the owners of MotoGP. Liberty Media will acquire 86% of Dorna, which in turn will remain an independently run company attributed to Liberty Media's Formula One group tracking stock. So there you go. I don't really know anything about MotoGP. I'll be brutally honest with you there. I've never watched a race, and it's not like a whole thing of, I hate motorbikes, I don't like MotoGP. I've just never got round to watching it. I watch a lot of car racing. I don't watch any motorbike racing, and that's probably my own fault. And I imagine if I watched it, I'd probably enjoy it, but I just never have. The two things I know about MotoGP, they race motorbikes, and Valentino Rossi is a person, and that is it. In terms of what this deal could mean, I think this will be a good thing for MotoGP. I think Liberty Media have done a fantastic job with F1. I know a lot of people don't like Liberty Media for whatever reason. They're like, I don't like Drive to Survive. It's like, shut up. The position F1 is in now, in comparison to the position it was in when Bernie Ecclestone owned it, just before Liberty Media took over, is night and day and is fantastic. And Liberty Media, if anything, saved Formula One, because you had Bernie Ecclestone, who would be striking down teams using their own videos of Formula One cars on social media pages, to Liberty Media now, who are fantastic at social media and getting F1 out there in the public eye, making it mainstream again. So yeah, I think they've done a fantastic job for F1. I'm sure they'll do a fantastic job for MotoGP, and who knows, Ride to Survive could be coming to a Netflix screen near you. The most interesting news story of the week, for me, comes from Las Vegas, who have released a 40-page report breaking down the economic impact of last year's Formula One race. So here are some highlights for you, because what I find very interesting about this is, if you've seen my video on the Caesars Palace Grand Prix from, 82 and 1982, 1983, I'll leave a link in the description if I remember to watch that one, because that's a good video. Good video that I made. I know, very rare, but that one was good. And the reason that the Caesars Palace Grand Prix broke down was that people came to the races, but then didn't go to the casinos. And that, for me, was kind of a thing of this year, or this iteration of Las Vegas Grand Prix. People are going to go to the race and then not go to Las Vegas. What's going to happen here? But it appears my fears are misplaced, because the total economic impact has been measured at $1.5 billion for Las Vegas, including a visitor spending of $884 million. The race itself generated $77 million in tax revenue, more than any other event in Las Vegas history. F1 spent $88 million on public infrastructure improvements, not including land acquisition, because their little paddock pit straight thing is like a permanent building now in Las Vegas, so not including buying the land for that. Race visitors spent 3.6 times more than the typical Las Vegas traveller, staying 4.1 nights and spending $4,100 on average. Local workers earned $52 million in wages. I think that's in total, not individually. The event itself created 7,300 jobs, including 2,200 for race-related construction projects and 5,100 for event operations. The Las Vegas airport was the second busiest airport in the country the day after the race, with 2,200 operations, and the Clark County says it is the largest sporting event with the largest global audience in Las Vegas history. So that is absolutely huge and massively good news for F1 and Las Vegas. When you think of all the sporting events that have happened in Vegas, I know a lot of boxing goes on in Las Vegas, but this is the largest one ever, this race. In terms of the stat we had before, the race generated $77 million in tax revenue, more than any other event in Las Vegas history. That's massive as well. Any other events, that's not just sports, but anything. So, your Penn and Teller, your lads with the Tigers, Tom Jones, none of them generate as much money as this. So yeah, lots of money going to Las Vegas and F1. And, as well, to top it off, it was a fantastic race. I mean, last year I think I gave my race of the year to the Dutch Grand Prix, but the Las Vegas one was up there for me in terms of best races last year. It was absolutely fantastic. So if we can have a fantastic race mixed in with them getting a good amount of money, this will be here to stay. Now, there are definitely issues with the race as well. We saw that too. The track wasn't ready when we got there. We saw that with what happened with Sainz's car in FP1 that time. And also I think there's an issue with ticketing and prices. In terms of when the prices were released, they were sky high. And as we got closer and closer to the event, they realised they weren't going to sell. So the prices went lower and lower and lower until we got to the point where, they were quite reasonable, and you had guys who were basically in the same section sat next to each other, and one would have paid thousands of pounds more than the other one. So there was issues with this, but yeah, overall it's a good thing. It's here to stay and will probably make a lot of money for everyone involved. So overall, that's good for Formula 1. Moving on now to talk about Kimi Antonelli, because it's been confirmed that later on this month he will test a Formula 1 car for the first time. This will take place at the Red Bull Ring, and he will drive the Mercedes W12. Now that is very interesting to me, because if you're not aware, the W12 is the 2021 car, the Mercedes. Because as of this year, F1 teams can use the 2022 cars for testings, and like a young driver test or whatever it might be. And that is the first car, these new era of the ground effect cars. So it's interesting that Mercedes is going to give him the W12, because the W12 was a very good car, could have won the World Championship, did win the Constructors' Championship. The W13 was not good, although it was the last car Mercedes got a win with, so there is that. But it's interesting to see, because you see F1 drivers now talk about the difference in the cars between the ground effect cars and the cars of the 2021 season. So it's interesting to me that Mercedes would rather have Antonelli test a good car from a different era than a bad car from the same era we're in now. So we'll have to wait and see how that one plays out. Antonelli himself, he's currently 9th in the standings of F2, only 17 years old. And the eyes of the world on him, definitely, with the whole Lewis Hamilton leaving, who's going to replace him thing. I'm not entirely sure if Antonelli will get it. I think I've said this before, I don't know if I said it in an F1 video or an F2 video, but when we look at the F2 grid, if I was to look at it and say, who out of this grid should be on the F1 grid next year? As of right now, and I'll say this, it's very early in the season, and Prema have not been great at the start of this season. But as of right now, I would not put Kimi Antonelli as one of the guys to go into F1 next year. Now, there's a hell of a lot of the season left to go, and by the end of the season, I might be going, yep, he's absolutely the guy. But as of right now, I wouldn't. Ollie Behrman would be one of those guys because he proved it in Saudi Arabia. Zayn Maloney would be another one. He looks fantastic. Maybe a Dennis Hauger, maybe a Kush Miney. They would definitely be on the list before Kimi Antonelli. But as I said, still a lot of the season left to go. Right. Special Helmet Street, everybody. It's time. But we've got to stop off first. A special livery cul-de-sac, because this is the McLaren special livery. They have become the special livery specialists over the last few years. We saw it a lot last year with the Chrome and with the 60 years of McLaren and all different sorts of ones there. So they brought this one out here for Japan. It's not much, little bit of spice in there for you. So a little bit on the side pod, on the airbox, and on the wing. Also, the numbers themselves are different, inspired by Japanese calligraphy. And if I remember correctly, these bits are supposed to be a dragon going through the car. I don't see it personally, but there you go. It looks good. I like special livery. This one's good. It's not their best, but it's all right. Moving on Special Helmet Street, though, let's talk about the hometown boy. Well, not only his hometown, but it's definitely home country for Yuki Tsunoda, who has brought out this new special helmet for this weekend, inspired by Verdi, who I've never heard of, but maybe like a Japanese comic book or something. Maybe it's the Japanese answer to the Beano. But yeah, this one looks nice. I'm hoping for a good weekend for Yuki this weekend, because he definitely deserves it. After what his last few race results, and he deserves a good home race. Who knows, maybe even a podium, so my fantasy team can do well. This is Fernando Alonso's helmet. Now, Fernando Alonso isn't the kind of guy who releases a lot of special helmets. I think he only had like 2 or 3 all of last year. But he always likes to do one for the Japanese Grand Prix. He's a big fan of Japanese culture. He's got that big samurai tattoo on his back. This helmet's fantastic, by the way. So you got like the red of the Japanese flag in here with like the katana strikes making up the 14. The waves coming across as well. On the back is Mount Fuji and like the cherry blossom. This is absolutely fantastic. It's one of the best helmets we've seen in a long time. I also love the red felt as well. For the inside. So really great helmet design from Fernando Alonso there. He doesn't do it a lot, but when he does, he knocks it out of the park. Fantastic stuff. Lando Norris has also brought a special helmet this weekend, very much inspired by Tokyo Drift. A lot of neon colours here for him. Looks good. And we also have to talk about this one from Charles Leclerc, the Jules Bianchi inspired helmet, which looks incredible. I think it's been 10 years now since Jules Bianchi passed away, which is mad. He passed away at this track, of course, as well, and he was the godfather to Charles Leclerc, and I think he was very much involved in Leclerc becoming part of the Ferrari Junior Academy at a young age, and yeah, we got the 17 on there for Jules, and then the logo. The chrome on here as well looks fantastic, and yeah, real good stuff. So lots of very nice special helmets this weekend. Let's go across now to Upgrade Corner. A lot to talk about Upgrade Corner, because I feel this weekend is the first weekend where the teams are able to use the data they collected from testing and transform that into actual upgrades and parts to put on the car. So a lot of upgrades coming in this weekend. I think there's going to be 2 teams that haven't brought anything. Let me just check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, there's 3 teams who haven't brought anything. But I can't remember what the 3rd team is who haven't brought anything. So, oh no, I have. I have remembered them. How could I forget them? Right, so let's talk about people who have brought stuff. Firstly, Red Bull. Now, it was heavily rumoured a while ago that the Japanese Grand Prix would see Red Bull move to the no-pod design that Mercedes used to have. From the images I've seen, they haven't done that, but they have brought some stuff here. So they got a new side pod inlet, floor body, floor edge, front corner. So some big parts on the car here. I wonder if maybe this is a transitional upgrade to kind of move from their initial design to a no-pod design, so we're slowly going to try and get there. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, big upgrade for Red Bull, who didn't have a great time out in Australia. Max's DNF. Checo wasn't really on the pace. So yeah, looking for a good result here. Ferrari haven't really brought much, just new rear suspension for them. The guys who brought the most is Aston. So a new floor body, floor fences, floor edge, diffuser, engine cover, and beam wing for Aston. So a lot coming on the new Aston here. Basically an entirely new floor and kind of top of the car. Rumours as well that they're going to be bringing new side pods at some point as well. So maybe Aston wants to watch thus far. For me, from the practice sessions, didn't really see anything special for them. Didn't really see that step up. But they could be hiding their pace for when it actually counts. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I think Aston hoping for a big advancement here. I've seen some people say that they have once again copied Red Bull. I'm not entirely sure on that because I haven't been able to see a clear enough image of what these actual upgrades are. So I have to get back to you on that one. But yeah, why wouldn't you copy Red Bull? They are the best. Williams have brought new front wing, rear wing, and beam wing, and we'll get onto this in a bit later because they have got a new front wing and rear wing, but I don't think they got many of the new front wing and rear wing, so it would be a big shame if someone was to break one in a practice session. The Racing Bulls' new floor body, floor edge makes you wonder if that is associated with the new Red Bull floor body and floor edge. I guess we'll never know. Stake F1 team kicks Sauber, new floor body for them. And the teams that have brought nothing is Haas, Mercedes and McLaren. Mercedes, who haven't had a great time so far this weekend. I think it's Lewis Hamilton's worst ever start to an F1 season, which we seem to say every year at this point now. But yeah, not looking good for them and nothing brought thus far, but they did look good in FP1. But bigger and more shocking than Lewis Hamilton's worst ever season is the fact, everyone, that Alpine have brought some upgrades. I can't believe it. New front wing, front corner and beam wing for Alpine. The worst car on the grid might get better. We'll have to wait and see. Let's have a look now, though, at the practice recap, which is still called the practice recap because I can't think of a better name for it. Let's have a look. So FP1 is definitely the one to look at thus far. The big event of FP1 was Logan Sargent had a crash and broke his front wing and might have slightly damaged his rear wing. So he had the new one and now he doesn't, but apparently the chassis is okay. It is a brand new chassis on that car after the Australian Grand Prix, and yet again they have not got a replacement, so don't damage it whatever you do. FP1 was topped by the Red Bulls, Max Verstappen from Sergio Perez, Sainz in third from Russell and Hamilton fourth and fifth. Now I did not expect Mercedes to go well here, but they did do well there in FP1. Leclerc 6th, Alonso 7th from Piastri, Tsunoda doing well in P9 and Norris in P10. Ayumu Iwasa was also partaking in this practice session. He was 16th overall. Good to see him out there again. In terms of the Alpines, Ocon was 11th, Gasly 17th, so a mixed thing there for him. But yeah, I think it's very difficult to say what's going to happen this weekend from the practice sessions. Yes, because FP1 you can never really read into, because it's just kind of guys finding out where they are. Especially in a weekend like this with so many upgrades, it's much like a testing session for a lot of guys. So you have to look more at FP2 and FP3. But in FP2, firstly, Logan Sargent would not take part because they were repairing the car. But secondly, 14 other guys would not take part because it was raining, but not raining enough. So it was light rain, but so it was right in the middle. So it was too much rain for slick tyres or dry tyres, but it wasn't enough rain for intermediates. So instead of doing any running, everyone stayed in the garage for basically the entire session. The guys that actually did some laps were Oscar Piastri in first, from Lewis Hamilton, from Charles Leclerc. Then it was Yuki Tsunoda and Daniel Ricciardo. They were the only guys who set times, and you could learn literally nothing from any of that. I mean, Sonoda and Ricciardo did some laps on the Inters at the midpoint of the session, and then Piastri, Hamilton, and Leclerc did some laps on some dry tyres at the end, and there's literally nothing we could learn from that. So we go into it being quite unpredictable unless we see something dramatic happen in FP3. But yet, I shall still make some predictions for you, and as I said, I've never got them wrong before. So here we go. My predictions. Firstly, Red Bull will bounce back from Australia with a 1-2. Led by Max Verstappen, of course. My second prediction is I think Aston outscore Mercedes this weekend. And I think that going into the weekend, that wasn't so much of a bold prediction, especially with the upgrades. But after FP1, I think that might be a bold prediction there. That might be a bold one from me. Aston to outscore Mercedes. So there you go. They're my two predictions for the weekend. I'll be back throughout the weekend, so we'll have the qualifying reaction tomorrow, race reaction on Sunday, and driver ratings on Monday. All of that and more to come right here on the Stop and Go F1 channel. Can't wait for all of the awesome times. Yes? Yes. Right, I will see you then. I'm going to stop recording now and have a nap because I feel I'm not going to have much sleep this weekend. Until next time, have a good one. Goodbye.